Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pop Culture Spread, our fun weekly movie and streaming news show with a twist. If you are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Rick. Hit that like and subscribe button. Also, hit that notification bell. We would really appreciate it. Also, remember, you can hear us on audio podcast on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and where all good podcasts are found. Also, you can check out our merchandise store. All the links are down below. Joining me on the show, as always, here's the other half of Pop Culture Spread and my good mate, VHS Jason. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm really good. It's been a big week out there for me, not only personally, but in the movie world. So there's always, as usual, Rick, a lot to talk about.
There is. All right, mate. Well, how about we get straight into it? Let's talk big news. Wow. Now you got the Exorcist.
Yeah, there we go. So this is kind of part of the bigger story I want to talk about this week. But let's start off with this. Exorcist Believer, the new film in the Exorcist franchise, gets horrifying reviews after the studio gambled $400 million on this. So the movie actually has just come out this weekend, and it's the sixth film in the Exorcist franchise. And basically, Universal shelled out $400 million for the rights for this franchise. Now, the first thing I've got to say about this is, why invest so much money in a franchise that's dead? I mean, honestly, what's the last Exorcist film you've seen, Rick? I've just told you there's six.
The very first one. That was it. I never watched any more because that was the one that did it for me.
Well, I will say I've seen four of them. And the first one is obviously the all-time classic. The second one's a bit of a miss for me. The third one with George C. Scott and Brad Dourif, fantastic. Love that film. And then the rest are just garbage, to be honest with you. So this is where studios are so franchise and IP dependent that they go out there and they take these big risk purchases on IP, on names.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at and that model sometimes it works to me on both ends of the scale. So if you're someone like Disney and you purchase Marvel and Star Wars, would you have the backing to be able to take the hits and blows and spend a lot on marketing, get the best team together, right? And if you're low end, like a Jason Blum with Blumhouse Productions, he's been doing that with franchises, but he keeps them small, like Paranormal Activity and M. Night Shyamalan's films and all. He keeps the budget small, and then markets them quite well, makes it affordable. But a lot of studios like Paramount, Universal, they've been doing this, Rick, where they spend big money on a franchise like this with no real strategy or evidence that this is going to work. This film, right? So the idea is they're going to make 3 Exorcist films, right? So they need to profit $400 million. So they paid for it. So they need to get $400 million back straight away before they start to profit. Okay? Now, meaning each film's probably going to cost them maybe $40, $50 million. Double that with marketing expenses. There's $100 million, right? And then remember, the studio only makes back a third of whatever the box office is by the time everyone else gets their cut. So the basic mathematics on this alone is crooked and wrong, and it's indicative where Hollywood is at the moment. Now, there are some studios that are changing, but this concept of thinking a name, an IP, a brand is just going to make you money is wrong. The only thing that makes these things money is good movies. Now, I don't work in the industry. I don't profess to. All right, I've never worked in Hollywood or anything. This is just me from an outside perspective giving you my opinion of someone who's loved film for 50 years. And it's just fascinating to me that some of these studios keep taking these bad risks. They're not paying off, are they?
So the risk here that I see is the director is one of them. And if you look at David Gordon Green, right? What's the franchise that he did? He did
Halloween.
the Halloween.
Yeah.
Now, you're a big fan, Jason. I know you're a massive fan of it. Halloween ends and kills and all that were garbage. Like they were just
Oh
really
yeah,
bad.
yeah. It was definitely a thing of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
However, it's
Why?
not just the director. It's just to think that horror films are great because you can generally make them cheap, and sometimes they're profitable and things like that. It's just this belief that somehow you're going to grab a franchise with a name that's broken anyway. I have no idea. They must have had a hell of an idea, and I haven't seen the film, so I don't know what it's about to do this. But the reason I wanted to bring the story up as big news, it's not because this is obviously a bad bet by Universal, because it's not going to make its money. You've got what Rotten Tomato scores of like 20% for it at the moment. Not that I listen to critics too much, and I find myself not agreeing with the critics, but it will put out for that general person out there who's not that invested in movies, may turn them off a little bit. So it's just crazy, and I think it's also indicative of a time of change, and this is the good news, Rick. These films, these IPs, these franchises, these expendable fours, these things like that, are you going to find yourself they're not going to be made as much because they're not making money? And expendable fours is a great example. That thing's been out for 2 or 3 weeks, Rick, and hasn't made anything. I think it's made $24 million internationally, based on $100 million
budget.
$100 million budget. That's nuts, right? You're just not making money. You're losing money at this point. I think it's good news because it means now studios may go back to more if they're going to have to take risks, and IP, not all IP is going to guarantee them a profitability, then it opens the opportunity for more risk to be taken on storytelling and plot. So we get different films, standalone film. We look back at the 80s, Rick, as the heyday. The 70s and 80s has been a great time in cinema. What is happening there? Yes, you had franchises. Yes, you had sequels. But you had a hell of a lot of original content being produced. And we've coming out of a dark period where...
There's no original now.
Well, the original content is few and far between. It's there. It exists. It absolutely exists. But it doesn't get the coverage that it used to. So what will happen is you'll get more films that not attached to IP that will get a theatrical run and will get more attention, rather than now what was been getting all the attention in the last 15 years is superhero films. And I think that's about to change. So it's interesting that they've kind of gone that way. I also think when it comes back to The Exorcist and the poor choice was made, horror, when it works its best, is when there are new ideas that come to the table, new approaches and subjects. And I don't know retreading it. Like, I'm a massive Friday the 13th fan, right? There's a great series of... I did a review of the whole series, or most of it recently, over on the Jason Roy Gaston channel. Check that out, VHS Vault. And they're great, you know what I mean? But I don't want a reboot of Friday the 13th at the moment. I don't really want
There's
that.
talk about it.
There is talk about it, but I don't want that. I'd rather see a horror film that is new in idea and concept that scares the living crap out of me.
Isn't there a TV series they're bringing out?
Of Exorcist?
No, of Friday the 13th.
Oh, no, they are. It's called Crystal Lake. It's
again, why?
I don't know.
Look,
don't get me wrong. I'm big about some franchise. One of the most anticipated movies I would love to see right now is a redoing of He-Man and Masters of the Universe. I want to see the film that I always wanted, and there is talk about that. However, sometimes you're flogging a dead horse. If you're going to take a risk on a franchise, know your audience. And I don't think Hollywood knows its audience really anymore, They find something and go, oh, everyone went and saw Iron Man and the Avengers. That's what we got to do then. Comic book. And we benefited from that period, and we did have a great 10 years of films from being average to being great, but nothing really horrible. But honestly, I think we are at the beginning of a new dawn of diversity in mainstream cinema. I'm excited for it. To me, this is just another piece of the puzzle of how we're getting there.
I'm not excited about it. Especially this movie. It just, Not, it's not. Yeah, not a fan, but we'll see what happens.
Well,
I
were
don't
you
know.
a fan of wanting to go and see Expendables 4? No, you didn't go and
Yeah,
see it. I
like,
know you didn't go
you
and see
know,
it because nobody went and saw it.
no,
So,
no, that's
um,
right.
it's just franchises are tricky things, man. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just remember they tried to do this with Universal. Tried this once before with their, what did they call it? The Monsterverse, with the classic
Oh yeah,
monsters.
with the yeah. Is
Yeah,
that with
where
the
they were
mummy
going to have,
with
you know,
Tom
they had
Cruise?
that famous picture with Russell
Yeah,
Crowe, Tom Cruise, and all
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah.
They
Tom
do this
Cruise was the
whole,
first movie, and then it just bombed. That was
and
it.
it completely kind of
Yeah.
failed. So I'm surprised Universal's going back down this pathway to do something like that.
Well, they
So
see something in it for something. I don't know.
yeah, it's
No.
pretty nuts. So it's a crazy time, but an exciting time.
Exciting time. All right, mate. Let's get into what's in other news.
Oh, in other news.
Oh. So we know the strike is over, but there's still a lot of things that still need to be ironed out and deals and everything else. And this,
Well, the writer's
obviously,
strike
story-
is over. Yeah.
Yeah. So, this is a story about some deals and things that they're trying to get over the line. What's been said about this one, Jace?
Oh, okay. Well, this is not about the writer's strike. As we know that a tentative deal has been completed on this. This is the SAG-AFTRA strike still remains, and that's all the actors and performers. And now all eyes are on this, Rick, because it obviously it's the big missing piece to everyone to get back to work. Yeah. So, but you know, they are working through it now. The thing is, we got the writer's strike pretty well wrapped up fairly quickly when they got to the negotiation table. But this may not be the case for the SAG-AFTRA, because there's a lot more difficult issues to deal with, I think, in some regards. Revenue sharing seems to be the big bugbear. Obviously, AI, residuals, all that type of thing. I actually think it's a little bit more complex for the SAG-AFTRA, and basically what the insiders are telling us, Rick, that this may not be an easy fix, and this may drag on to at least January.
Wow, that's okay.
That's pretty scary stuff. I mean, because if you're getting actors who are not getting on set until January, a lot of things are going to be delayed. And we'll notice it on television first, obviously, but we'll notice it on film for a couple of years to come. So it's not the best news, mate.
No, I mean, there's a lot of big movies and things that are coming out. So we're definitely going to see what's going to happen.
Well, the big four that were the CEOs that kind of headed up the WGA strike negotiations will be the same four. And that's Bob Iger and a couple of other studio heads. They're the one who are going to head the team. Let's hope common sense prevails, and let's hope those industry insiders are completely wrong, because, like, hell, January? We really want to get to January without everybody getting back to work? I mean, pretty scary stuff, but
that's a long time. Like, that's what, yeah.
Well, that would have been
3-4 months away.
7 months of a strike is rather significant to the industry.
That's crazy. But then is it still going to snowball and affect everything else? Really, isn't it?
Of course, because if there's no one on set, you're not capturing the scenes. I mean, sometimes you can get around things. I'm sure they can get effects done and things like that. But really, essentially, Hollywood's at a standstill. Yes, we've got the writers back to work, and they're busy away on their, writing their scripts, getting everything done. But no point for them if no one's going to act them out. So they really need to get on top of this, mate.
No, that's it. Let's talk about a movie that is pretty big here in Australia, and we're talking about a bit of Mad Max news. Furiosa, George Miller's Mad Max Fury Road prequel, rumored to premiere at Cannes 2024. This is going to be a big movie for everyone.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it.
What I like about this story, Rick, it shows a bit of confidence in the film from George Miller's perspective, the filmmaker's perspective. Because, if you're going to release your film at Cannes, if you're going to put it on that, platform, well, it's well known the French audience are not exactly if they don't like something, you'll know about it. They'll boo you out of the theatre. So, no, it's great. And George Miller, I'm glad that he likes the idea of showing it at Cannes. And I'm really excited to see the movie because Fury Road was an experience at the cinemas, Rick.
Beautiful. Yeah.
It was, wasn't it? We went and saw it together.
We
I
saw
reckon.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
And it was an incredible adrenaline rush of a movie, and I'm so proud to know that an Aussie made that. And Chris Hemsworth plays the villain in Furiosa.
Yes.
Plays the head of a biker gang.
And there was rumors. There was stories and rumors out there. I don't know if it's 100% new or not, but they're saying that Mel Gibson might be back.
What, in a cameo or something?
Yeah, part of it in some way or another. But yeah,
I don't know how you do that because
I was trying to figure out. I don't know.
Max would be young, so either way, maybe it's just a cameo. But I know Max isn't in this film. Not supposed to be in the film.
No,
it's really about her being in the middle of this war of this biker gang, and a younger Immortan Joe who is trying to maintain the citadel that was in Mad Max Fury Road. Anna Taylor-Joy plays a younger Furiosa. She's an amazing actress, amazing talent. Loved her in The Menu, loved her in lots of things. Even that horrible XMen spin-off film they made, she was still great in it. What was that thing called? The one set in the psych... Yeah, what was that thing called?
Which one?
That X-Men movie they made, it had the young girl from Game of Thrones in there. Someone in the audience knows.
Oh, that horror one.
Yeah, what was that?
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was that forgettable.
That's how bad it was. That's how
forgettable.
terrible.
I can't even remember. But yeah, it's great. Another Mad Max movie. It's going to be intense. This can be made by a near 80-year-old man who's making these hardcore, intense,
and he's never
type of films. And I love it.
He's never disappointed us. These movies are just
magic.
Amazing. Yeah.
They're magic. Love his films. Even Babe. I mean, come on. Who doesn't pull out that'll do, pig? That'll do. Yeah, like he's a legend. He's a legend.
He is. Yep. Let's get on a bit of Marvel news, Jace. Let's get into...
Oh, no, the MCU.
The MCU. We haven't talked about the MCU a bit. I know we do. But Marvel Studios to meet with the writers for X-Men movie. We were just speaking about X-Men. And this is the big anticipated X-Men movie made by Marvel Studios. And now that obviously the strike is officially over, they're beginning to meet with the writers and to take pictures of, X-Men and see which direction they want to go. And which is good news. This is great. We're moving forward with it. But this is a big movie for Marvel, and they really need to nail this, especially, with Deadpool coming out as well. How it all ties in together, I guess.
Well, I suppose that's going to be the challenge of the writing teams to kind of figure that out. X-Men is a franchise that, we'll have to come at it with a fresh approach. We're still fairly not that away from all the X-Men films. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, MC version of the X-Men is something a lot of people are waiting for. I don't think you see an X-Men film before 2027, to be honest with you, which sounds crazy, but we're only a couple of months away from 2024, so I'm thinking 3 years before we get to see an X-Men film. Onto maybe 2028.
Get it right first. Right.
Yeah, you got to write it, you got to cast it. Remember the strategy of Bob Iger at Disney now. Less is more. So, in fact, it's a story we didn't kind of put in. We should have actually put in for this week. It's the story around how a lot of shows that have been filmed and made for Disney Plus are being held off not indefinitely, but for 12 months or more, including the Daredevil series. And another big Marvel Studios series has been pushed off the 24 slate. It's not even appearing on their slate at the moment. And Agatha, the Agatha Harkness series that we're doing, the spin-off of WandaVision, they filmed that in June, and it's apparently not going to come out until September of 2024. So, yeah, it's going to be really interesting when we actually get to see this, the type of approach they make. I think we're ready for the colour. I think what we all want as fans is really a live action X-Men 97 series.
Which they're releasing next year anyway.
But that's what we want. We want like
correct. That's right.
Look at the world lose its freaking mind over Wolverine's costume.
One photo. That's right.
On-set photos of Deadpool 3. People lost it over that, including me. I thought it looked awesome. I think there's a real opportunity to have a strong leader in Cyclops this time around. Well, I think Cyclops was always underserved in the other X-Men movies. The type of so I think there's an opportunity to have Gambit finally part of the team now.
Yeah,
as something they've we're going to do that film with Channing Tatum, and that kind of fell over. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go. But yeah, don't expect this thing to be out in cinemas under 3 or 4 years, 'cause it's just not going to happen.
Well, let's just make sure we find the right director and cast it right. I guess I'm sure they'll get it right. But more to come on that, definitely. Yeah. All right, Jace. Let's get into the next segment, which is always a good little segment.
We've got a couple of comments here. Maybe I'll just show you a couple of comments. Let me do that. Sci-Fi Queens. Hey, Nita from Sci-Fi Queens. In fact, when you finish watching this show, go over to Sci-Fi Queen's YouTube channel, which I'll put up the graphic at the end of this show. They're doing a live show tonight too. Go check them out. Yeah, why not purchase a franchise that people want? I agree, Nita. I agree. It's always a gamble. So, but yeah. What else have we got here? Nita's busy on the keyboard.
She is.
So I love Friday the 13th movies. I agree with Jace. Want to reboot either? Nah. Really don't. Just give us something new. And here we go. X-Men is such a good franchise. I hope they do it justice. And I think...
Well done.
Because you know what? They did a great job with a lot of those X-Men films, even though the continuity was off and things like that. More of those X-Men films I loved that I hated. You know what I mean? Like, if you go through them, I love X-Men. I like X-Men 2 a lot. X-Men 3 is average, not great. X-Men Origins Wolverine is shockingly bad. But then you've got X-Men First Class, which is my favourite X-Men film. Then you back it up with Days of Future Past. Apocalypse is horrible. Dark Phoenix is average. And yeah, so it's a franchise that's had its highs and its lows. But yeah, a fresh retelling of it. I think we're all looking forward to that. But yes, did you say next segment, boss?
Let's get into the train wreck of the week. This is a big one. Oh, Drew Barrymore. Who doesn't love Drew Barrymore? Sweet, innocent Drew Barrymore. Well, Drew has been in the headlines for the last few months now, and this is regarding the writers. So basically, Drew Barrymore show writers declined to return. So what has happened? What has Drew done?
Hilarious. She comes out at one point throughout the writer's strike and goes on social media and says, look, we're going to go back to work. Without the writers, we're going to move ahead. We're going to go back to work. Copped a lot of flack for that.
Wow.
A lot of flack. And then she turns around and retracts that statement. Cups
of course she did.
And makes an apology video. Right? Upsets a whole lot of other people.
Oh, shit.
Including the writers. Who had a real issue, because if you think about it, if you're on strike, right, and your boss goes, well, fuck, we don't really need you. You can do this without you, basically. So we devalue your position. I'd be upset too if I was a writer. I don't blame him coming back. But it's one of those things that Drew Barrymore, I don't think there's a malicious bone in that lady's body. I really don't. I don't think she would have done it to upset people.
No.
I honestly think her intentions was quite pure. Is like, yeah, I've got 4 writers here, but I've got a production crew of 60 to 80 people that need to work. So
they got families they need to.
But she didn't. The way she handled it was awful. She did not do a great job of handling it. So the train wreck is that, yeah, her show's coming back now, but she's going to get a whole new writing team. Probably damaged her rap a little bit now. Yeah, but it's a crazy world, isn't it? Because this stuff used to happen all the time back in the day. But guess what? We just didn't hear about it. Johnny Carson didn't get on social media to talk about something like this. You know what I mean? Like, you had the day where they were on television and that was it. And
that was
you know, they all get involved with social media, and then they all are shocked when people have different opinions on things, you know? I mean, I like Drew Barrymore a lot, so I don't want to crucify her. She made a big blunder here by doing this, but, you know, at the end of the day,
you're only human. You make mistakes, and I agree with you, Jace. I don't think, and you don't see any bad publicity with Drew Barrymore. She's never. I think she just genuinely just made an honest mistake in this one. And
you know who could be really angry at her? Her support team. What about her manager? What about her agent? What about her PR person? They dropped the ball.
But doesn't this happen with a lot of celebrities, though? We see that same sort of pattern.
But that's why they hire those people. So they're not making decisions on their own that they don't understand may impact things down the track. So it's not Drew Barrymore, it's her and her entire team made a big blunder.
Well, that's right. It had to have gone through a team of people before it was posted on social media and her decision on what she was going to do. So fire those people.
As our friends over in Captain's Quadrant would say, he's got a message here is, "Oh, Drew Barrymore, ouch." No. Yes, I agree. Ouch. Not a great move, but yeah. Funny though, in a weird way. It's just like, hey, celebrities, maybe get off the socials. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Because you're a celebrity. You are a socialite. You've got more access to millions of people.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Right.
In a way, safer environment and protected environment than you and me are, Rick. If we get on social media and say something, we're on our own. We are on our own. She's got a giant mechanism behind her, and she's still got to be seen to be, you know.
That's right. Anyway. We have to go, do I send it? What's the repercussions? What's going to happen?
Yeah, that's right.
It's just, Once you hit that send button, that's it. There is no going back.
But I would just like to thank Drew Barrymore personally for being able to give us the easy train wreck story of the week.
Appreciate it, Drew. Thanks so much. All right, Jace. I love this segment. I know you're a big fan of this segment as well, mate. Oh man, I get excited because I don't know what clips you're going to do. So we're going to be talking great Aussie telly.
Tell you what, any boss who sacks anyone for not turning up to die is a bum.
I do love this segment. You know, Rick, part of growing up when in the 70s and 80s in Australia, sport is a big part of our culture, extremely big part of our culture. And especially if you lived from Sydney south all the way down, south of Sydney, AFL was the big thing. Right? Yeah. We lived in two worlds. AFL football and cricket dominated Australian culture in the summer and in the winter. It just was. And for some reason here, we're very good at making anthems for said sports, don't you think? Yeah. And, you know, we created, like, it's funny to think, there are tunes that they made that would, even at a party today, if you play this music, people are going to sing along to it. So I'm being very vague here, but I'm going to show you a couple of ways, a couple of clips of how they used to promote the said sport here on Australia to get people excited about the upcoming season. We're going to start with probably the greatest anthem in AFL football history, Rick. If you don't know this, you're certainly not Australian, but every other Aussie knows this. Have a look.
Well, you work to earn a living, but on weekends comes the time you can do whatever turns you on. Get out and clear your mind. Me, I like football, but there's a lot of things around. When you line them up together, the footy wins hands down.
And it goes on for another couple of minutes, but an iconic song. Is that not an iconic song?
That is so up there, Kazali. And can I just say how good is AFL, but how good is that at when you see the cigarettes in the background there, the advertising around there, Marlboro. I just love it. Can't do that anymore.
Definitely. But what a song. I mean, there's some song just, and Kazali, Kazali was a footballer from the 1920s, I think. The kind of it's reference to, but it became that song that became part of the zeitgeist in such a way that we all sucked it in via osmosis in the end. It was crazy. So AFL had its version, but the other massive pastime in Australia, and still today in some way, is cricket. It's the sport of the summer. I don't really watch cricket anymore, but as a kid I did. And they had their own anthem. So, and theirs was a bit more, I don't know, upbeat, something different. Check it out. Let's have a look and see how cricket promoted itself to Australia back in the 70s and 80s.
You've been training all the winter, and there's not a team that's fitter, and that's the way it's got to be. 'Cause you're up against the best you know. This is super test, you know, and you've got to beat the best the world has seen. Lily's pounding down like a machine. Pascoe's making divots in the green. Marsh is taking wickets. Hooks he's clearing pickets. And the Chapel's eyes have got that killer gleam. Mr. Walker's playing havoc with the bats. Redpath, it's good to see you back. Lady's making runs. Dougie's chewing gum. And Gilmore's wielding willow like an axe. Come on, Aussie, come on, come on. Come on, Aussie, come on, come on. Come on, Aussie, come on, come on. Come on, Aussie, come on.
Iconic.
It is.
Like, everybody in Australia knows that. In fact, when you're born, those lyrics are already implanted into your DNA. That's it. But here's something very nostalgically beautiful about those couple of clips to me. It reminds me of a simpler time. Reminds me of a thing where a whole country would spend cricket season in front of a telly, maybe in the backyard or something, old black and white telly, watching cricket, which would be 5-day tests of 8 hours a day, just watching cricket, and we loving it. I can't imagine watching cricket today because I'll get bored by it, but yeah, it definitely represents a simpler time. And if you've got to talk about great Aussie telly, you've got to talk about those clips, mate. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember that. And the sports is huge for us, you know, and just seeing that, how the fans run out onto the field and that, you know, it's so good to see and to remember how great we are here in Australia with our sports. I love it. Absolutely love it. Great trip down memory lane, Jace.
Yeah, no, good stuff. Well, that's it, isn't it, Rick? We've done it.
That is it, mate. That's it for the show. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And Jace, do you want to just give a quick thread of where everyone can catch yourself, Jace? And I know you're in
but now associated friends. Right? If you're also, obviously, I'm here at Pop Culture Spread. I'm wearing my merch, of course. I'm here every week. But you can also find me over at the Jason Roy Gaston YouTube channel. It's where comedy goes to die. Jason Gaston. I don't know if you've seen him on YouTube or anything. Sorry, not on YouTube, on TikTok or Instagram. He does these really great clips and videos. He's a really fun guy. I get to work with him and his crazy kittens on a whole slew of shows, including the VHS Vault, where we go back and look at old retro movies. And if you don't agree, you're wrong, where we do a weekly review on all the popular shows that are on at the moment. It's a fun show, so you go check me out there. But Jason and I have done some producing for these guys in the past. I used to be on the show, but I'm doing some back-end work for it. Go check out Captain's Quadrant. They had a show last night, I believe. Was it? Yeah, last night.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was excellent. They're talking lower decks now. That was a really great episode. So go check out the boys, Captain Joe Dove, and of course Jason Roy Gaston over at Captain's Quadrant. Look that up in YouTube every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's New York time. So, and of course, once you finish watching this, starting in about 25 minutes, as I said before, is the Sci-Fi Queens. They're going live. Nita and her crew each week go and talk about really great sci-fi subjects. They have guests on. Yeah, it's a really fun show told by a female perspective, because too many dudes are talking about that stuff. We don't get a lot of really interesting female people talking about sci-fi, and they've got it on their show. And of course, one of the things that makes them unique is they also talk about real female scientists in the field, and they highlight them as well. So it's really great. Go check them out, and that's it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. And you can check me out, obviously, on the channel as well. A whole heap of, go back through our back catalogue. We've got a whole heap of trailer reactions and all sorts there, guys. So go check all that out, and we'll be doing a whole lot more, guys. Thank you so much, guys. We really, really appreciate it. Jace, thank you so much, buddy. And we'll see you guys all next week. Bye for now.